Welcome to the video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at this little thing here. This, believe it or not, is actually a digital video recorder. It has a little slot for a little mini SD card at the side, a couple of buttons on the top, and then these cables here to connect to your FPV equipment. Now, the reason that we're going to try this out is that I've been looking for a little lightweight DVR that we can use on a ground station. Now, this is actually small enough that if you really wanted to, you could actually connect it up to your camera on the model. This is actually a Runcam Owl. So just for demo purposes, these are great little cameras actually. We'll do a much more detailed review of this in another video, but you can get both of these products from banggood.com, so I need to say a very big thanks for those guys because this is where we got these from. And you would connect your camera onto this on the craft and then connect this to your video transmitter, and then you can actually record locally on the craft and then view it back later on. Now, as well as having those kind of cameras, you obviously have things like your Mobiuses and your action cameras that can record natively actually on the craft itself, but I'm a little bit more interested in this in sticking it in the ground station. Now, the ground station video that we've had a look at is the one from Hobby King, and it's a really nice ground station. It has a big box at the bottom that has lots of inputs, outputs, it supports diversity, lovely big screen on the top with the shade. It's a nice product. The only thing that's missing is it doesn't have a DVR, and this amazingly is only £17.49 at time of recording, so it's less than 20 quid, and for that you get this little lightweight unit. I think it's only about 10 grams, not including the cables, and it gives us an awful lot of options. So when you actually buy it, you pretty much get this in one of those little anti-static bags. You get a piece of sticky foam so you can stick it to your model if that's the way you're going to use it, and you also get the obligatory instructions that aren't bad actually. There isn't that much to this thing. It's pretty much going to be your K1 button is stop and start recording, and then your K2 and K3 are for playback and going through the menus. Now, the actual connections on this are pretty straightforward. We have a 5-volt and ground input, which if you're on a quadcopter with this is going to be a piece of cake to wire up. You have your video in and your audio in, and then on the camera, come on camera, video out and audio out on the other side. You do have external connections here if you wanted to mount the buttons remotely, if this was kind of buried away in the middle of a fixed wing model. So let's have a very quick look at how we would wire this up. So here is how we'd wire it up in that example where we're running something like the Runcam Owl camera, where we have the camera going into the video in, and then we have it going to a video transmitter, and everything's all connected, it's all working fine. Or the way we're going to do it is we're actually going to connect it to the ground station. So we're going to put it in between the video receiver and the screen on the ground station. Now, to do that, we're actually going to wire it up using a couple of other cables. Now, this hasn't come with it. We have delved into the spares bin and pulled some stuff out. So let me go through what we're going to use. On the back of the ground station from Hobby King, there is the USB out, so this is going to be a lovely nice clean 5-volt supply. So this is one of those little rubbish cables you get with some models where they only have the 2 wires in, the positive and negative. We've had loads of people that get really stuck with USB cables. They use these ones that come with models that are just supplied for charging, and it only has 2 cables in it, whereas it should have 4. It also should have a signal positive and negative as well. This one just has 2 wires for charging, so I've snipped it in half. That's going to be perfect for the power. So we're going to cable that up to the plus 5 volts and the ground. That's that bit done. And then the other 2 bits are obviously for the video in and the video out. And we're using these little RCA cables that we're going to connect to the video in, and then connect the ground shield to the ground pin, and another one as well for the other side. So let me quickly make these cables up. I'm going to cover them with a bit of heat shrink, but before I slide the heat shrink down, I'll show you what's probably going to be some rather lamentable soldering, but we'll have a look. And once we've done that, then let's plug it into the ground station, fire it up, and see what kind of quality we're getting out the unit, because that will test whether or not you can run it from a USB connection, and also we can compare it with the video that's coming from the actual camera that we're transmitting with. So give me 2 seconds, I'll stop the video, do this little bit of soldering, we'll come back and have a look. Here we are just starting the wiring. We have the positive lead connected up to that USB cable. I've twisted all of the grounds together, and here's a couple of images of it all wired up before I put the heat shrink on. With the video in, the video out. I'm not using audio for this, I'm just interested in capturing the video. So let's have a look at how it plugs into the ground station. So here is the back of the ground station. We have the DVR with the two video cables that we've made up, and we also have the USB cable for power. So to put it on is going to be easy. I've put some Velcro on the back of here. I've also popped it on the back of the thing as well, so we can just stick it in the corner, plug in the USB to provide the power, connect the video out to the screen, connect the video in to the video out of the ground station. That should be ready to rock and roll. Now we are going to have to put in a little SD card, so we're going to use this one here. It's a little 16 gig one that should give us hours and hours and hours of recording. We'll just pop it in the top. You do need long thumbnails. It's quite recessed when it clicks home. So I'm just using the adapter to turn it into a normal SD card to click in here. Great. And now we've done that, let's have a quick look at the camera we're going to use. We're just going to look at the view out of this Mobius here. It's in the Mobius cradle. Ion weight transmitter antenna on the top. We're just going to power it from a little battery, stick it on the table by the side of us here, and we'll look at that image and test the recording with it. So let's have a look at what the screen looks like through the DVR. Here it is. We have a slightly different view now than we're normally used to on this ground station. We can see how much recording time, the SD card's in there, the mic sound's been recorded, everything's ready. So let me press the button on the back, press K1 briefly to start it recording, and then when we go back around the front we can see that the timer is now running. We have that red light flashing to show us that we're recording. Brilliant. Okay, to stop recording, just as easy, you go and press the same K1 button again and the light stops flashing, goes solid, and then we've finished. So now we've done that, let's go back inside, unplug this from the ground station, pull out the SD card, and let's have a look at the quality of the video, the resolution, and all the other pieces too. So here's the raw image of that SD card. Now you can play the video back actually from the device. So as we had it set up on the ground station, we could actually play this back and have a look at it. On the right hand side here are the properties of the video, and it is 640 by 480 and it's running at just under 30 frames per second. Now that is pretty low, but that's pretty standard for DVRs, and particularly things like the ones that you tend to get built into goggles is about that same resolution. The contrast is a bit washed out, but again, we're recording the video stream after it's been transmitted, and you always pay a penalty for recording on the ground side. So now we know it works, let's jump back to the desk and I'll have a little chat about how I've found it to live with in the past week or so since we did the initial recording. I like it. I think this is a cute little device. For less than 20 quid, allows you to record either on a quadcopter, so if you have a larger quad where you don't have a Mobius on there but you want to be able to record the video as it comes out the camera, then this is definitely something you could try. Or for what we're doing here, this is great. The DVRs that I've used in the past have been an awful lot bigger than this. They've been kind of the size of a packet of cigarettes, where this is about 1/6 of the size and weighing over 10 grams will pretty much fit anywhere. The video recording quality, a little bit disappointing. I wish it had recorded at a slightly higher resolution than 640 by 480, but if you're going to use it like we are here, actually on a ground station, you know what? The video signals that are actually coming down the link isn't much more than that anyway. The only change to the way I'm using it now I'm going to make from here on in is, rather than have it on the ground station in between the receiver and the video out and the screen, I'm actually going to use one of the spare video outs which this ground station features to plug this into. So rather than have all that additional stuff on the screen and changes in things like aspect ratio, this can just sit there, and when I want to record what we're seeing, I'll just reach around the back, hit K1 and start the recording. Thank you for taking the time to watch that video. There are lots of other videos on the channel and they're carefully ordered into playlists, so you may find that there are other videos on this same subject that you can go and watch. So I would recommend going into the playlist area of Painless 360 YouTube channel and looking around and seeing what there is. You never know what you might find. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and happy flying.